Hey treasures, welcome back to my channel.
Dressed in long black satin and lace to the floor. So I went in, then we sat down, started kissing, caressing. Told me about jacuzzi, sounded interesting, so we jumped right in.
Okay, so I just got out of the shower, and so you're just gonna have to like mind my hair being wet. I was just kind of like getting off of a relationship, and Alexis was like, you know what, no, we're gonna have the best summer ever, we're gonna drink. She was like all about drinking, and I am not really like that, but I was like, okay, I need to get out of this funk of me being broken up with this guy, so I'm gonna take her word for it. So I was at her house the entire summer, and it was Gucci. Like, it was fun. Anyways, so we would basically like go on like Tinder and everything like that, and she basically had like a house to herself. It wasn't her house, but she had like a house to herself. So we would invite guys over after we like vetted them out, of course, which still isn't the safest thing, but at least we vetted them, right? Okay. Anyways, so we would meet up with these guys and have these guys like come over and stuff like that, and then we would play like drinking games and stuff like that. We would play like drinking games, and you know, it was fun. So there is this guy that I was talking to for a while, and for the sake of the story, we're gonna call him Johnny. So Johnny, and I thought that he was cute. He lived pretty far away from me at this time, kind of, sorta, but you live far, so like what is the point of even talking to you? Like, I was always like, if I don't see this progressing, I'm not wasting my time. So he assured me that he had ways of like coming down to me. He drove, because like, you know, I'm never coming to you, so because I at this time did not drive, so I was like, I'm never coming to you, so I don't really see the point of this. Like, are you cool with being the one that's always gonna have to come to me? And he assured me that yeah, he was cool with it, whatever. They always say that, by the way. So anyways, me and him were talking for a while, and I was also with Alexis, and we were kind of wondering like, oh, like what should we do today, whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm talking to this guy, and do you want him to come over? Like, I've been talking to him for maybe like a couple weeks, and this was like the first like red flag I had with him, where it was kind of like me and him would be talking, and he would be messaging me like every single day, and I like that, like, talk to me a lot, but he would message me every single day, and then he would, like, one time he got drunk, and he rang my phone up. Like, I'm trying to sleep, it's like 3 a.m. whatever, and my phone kept ringing, and I was so pissed, because there's one thing about me, I do not like to be woken up in my sleep. I do not like it. So I was so pissed, because at this time I feel like they didn't have Do Not Disturb. So anywho, I'm pissed off, whatever, and I was like, yo, why were you blowing up my phone last night? And he was just like, oh, I'm sorry, like, I was drunk or whatever, and I just wanted to, like, talk to you. And I was like, don't ever do that again. Anyways, so fast forward, whatever, I'm at my girl's house, and come over, and we can, like, hang out for the weekend. And he's like, okay, like, send me a picture of her. So basically, we did, like, a little matchmaking or whatever, and we were sending pictures back and forth of, like, his friend, and then my friend, and then seeing if they liked each other, or, like, they thought each other was attractive enough. And so she was like, okay, cool, he's cute enough, and I guess he thought that she was cute enough, too. So they ended up coming down, and I believe it took them like around like 2 hours to come down. And so the funny part about this was there was a party that was going on across the street, and Alexis's dad was at that party. And so we were like kind of going back and forth between the party and going back to the house that we were staying at, and we were kind of like waiting on these guys, like, where the fuck are they, right? But I was like, how are we gonna pull this off? Because obviously we didn't want her dad to know like we were gonna have like guys in the house, knowing that the house was like for us by ourselves, right? So we're like, okay, how are we gonna pull this off, whatever? And then she's like, okay, we're just gonna tell him, like, we're just gonna like turn in for the rest of the night, whatever. And so the guys end up coming to the house and telling me that they're there. And so we're like, oh, okay, whatever. We're obviously like changed, got like dressed up or whatever, and we see like them coming, and we're like, okay, where are they? Because we didn't see a new car. And so we'd open the door, and we see the guys walking in with Alexis's dad. And we were like looking at each other, we're like, shit, into the house, whatever. And her dad's like talking to them, kind of wondering like what the hell they're doing here. At the same time, it was like, we were like, oh shit, we don't want him to know. But at the same time, she was like, at the end of the day, my dad's not gonna like do anything. I'm gonna text and just be like, just pretend like we've known each other forever. They end up walking in, like the dad and the two guys. And so they're kind of talking, they're just like, oh yeah, we're just here for fun, like whatever, like I've known her for like a little bit. So they end up coming in, whatever, and I think they brought like a little bit of liquor, or we had some. I think both, because like, if one thing about Alexis, she was like, if they're not coming in unless they bring alcohol. And my thing is like, yeah, you know, again, like, I'm not too into alcohol or whatever, and yeah, I'm fine with getting like tipsy and stuff like that, but like, I don't ever want to get like shit-faced. So I was like, we already have liquor or whatever, and she's like, yeah, but they're not taking ours. So it was kind of like, okay, whatever, like, she's a host, it's her house, I have no say. The guy, Johnny, this, because it was kind of just like, I don't know, it just seemed too gross. I don't know another word for it. Anyways, so we're, you know, like talking, and of course, like between me and Johnny, it's kind of like awkward, like small talk, because like this is our first time meeting. Like, yeah, we've texted, yeah, we've talked on the phone, but this is like our first time meeting. And as he started to get drunk, and obviously we got more comfortable as we were like drinking, playing games and stuff, and it was kind of like, yeah, like he was cute and everything, but he was not really my type of guy. Like, his personality was not my type. And I was like, oh, this is such a bad idea. Like, I think me and Alexis, like, both of the guys, like, were not our type. Like, they're our type physically, but they were not our type, like, personality wise. Like, she has a different type from me, but even that guy was not her type. So like, we were kind of just like, oh, this is such a bad idea. Like, and it was like, we told them that they could like stay over, so like, we can't just tell them to go home. Like, it's like super late at night, and you know, they knew that they were supposed to stay over, so it'd be like just so rude to like kick them out. So we're like, oh fuck, okay, we gotta do this. And of course, there's my room, like I had a room there, whatever, and obviously she had a room there, a separate room. So it was like, okay, like, I guess they're spending the night with us. And of course, you guys know like what happens when there's like a guy and girl together. Cool enough that she was comfortable, because she was like, if I don't like him like at all, like they can sleep on the fucking couch. And I was like, yeah, for sure. I liked my guy enough that I was like, okay, we can like cuddle though. That's what we did. We were kind of like kissing, and then I realized I absolutely did not like him at first kiss. And I can tell before, but the kiss just solidifies it. At this point, he was smashed, but I was just like, holy hell. Like, he was kissing me and biting the F out of like my lips. And he was just slobbering so much that like my face was like soaking wet. One of the worst kisses I've ever had. And I was just like, okay, just chalk this up to him being drunk, because when I don't know how to like push a guy off when I feel like they're gonna get mad, kind of, because obviously with the way that the night went, it was kind of like a setup to them thinking that they were gonna like get some or whatever. And I'm really awkward, and like I don't want things to turn bad, and it turned into like a really, really bad situation. So I try to like, you know, prohibit that from happening by kind of just like giving in, even though I don't want to. And so me like kissing him, kind of like, okay, and then it was just so terrible and painful, like actually painful. I swear I thought my lip was going to bleed. Anyways, so let's fast forward. I was like, okay, whatever, I'm done. I was done after a little bit, and then we ended up going to sleep. And honestly, like, he fell asleep, and I was on my phone, and I'm texting Alexis, and I was like, yo, are you awake right now? And I think it was like 4 a.m, and she's like, yeah. And I was like, how's your night going? I was like, how is your night going? And she's like, girl, I'm gonna have to talk to you about it. So sorry. She's like, girl, I'm gonna have to talk to you about it tomorrow. And I was like, shit. And I felt bad, because I was like, okay, this is her house, you know, it was my guys in a sense, like I knew them, she didn't, or I knew them at least a little bit, one of them at least a little bit, so it was my fault that we were stuck in this situation in a sense. And she didn't ever blame me or anything like that, but I took the blame anyways. And I was like, shit, we just had like a terrible night. I don't think I'm ever doing this again unless I actually meet the guys and like we go on dates and shit like that, because I can't do this again. Anyways, so whatever, fast forward to the next morning, we're like, okay, you know, I don't even remember if we had breakfast or whatever, or we're like, okay, well, we have to go, or like, I have to go, and like, I have like, and she made up a lie, whatever, so we basically like, kind of like, lied and like, kicked them out, and then she was telling me about her night, and she was like, whatever, how they like, cuddled, you know, and how, I was like, oh, okay, like, how was it? And she was like, like, and I was like, oh God, were they? I think they were either a year older than her or like the same age, because she was older than me, but we were both just had like the same horrible night basically, and one for the books. Anywho, so after that, he was texting me and stuff like that, and his texting got a little bit less, which I didn't mind because I knew, like, I didn't really like him. And so as he was, like, leaving, he was, like, telling me, okay, so, like, when are you going to make it up to me? Like, I already told you this before this whole thing even started. And he was like, oh, well, I don't think that's fair. At the same time of us, like, making out and all that stuff, it was kind of just, like, okay, like, obviously I was so turned off at this point. We had such different, like, ideas of turn-ons, you know, and so I was like, this is not gonna work. And also at that point in time, I loved like kissing and stuff like that, so he couldn't even do that properly, so I was like, no. And then his personality was just not my type, so it was like a big fat X, like a big fat no. At the same time, like, he was texting me, so I'd be texting him back, but then he would get like really slow, and I was just like, okay, I'm supposed to be the one that's rejecting you, like, not the other way around. One thing I hated about this Johnny kid was that he would always say my name. Like, oh, how are you doing, so-and-so? Or, and like, after that, I'd be like, oh, I'm doing this. And he'd be like, okay, so-and-so, when are we hanging out? Oh, okay, so-and-so, how's school going? He said my name after every freaking sentence, and it was annoying. Like, do you not know who you're talking to? Anyways, so yeah, that was basically the end of that. I called him out on like him being like weird, and then I was just like, F this, like I called him out on it just because I was abrasive back then. I mean, I'm kind of still am like that, but I called him out on it because I was like, your actions are saying one thing and your words are saying another, and I don't really care. Like, he would get mad at me if I was like not texting him back basically, but like he would do the same thing to me, so it was just super annoying. Like, man up, or like just like own what you want, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so yeah, that was the adventures of a summer night with Alexis. Do you guys have any weird stories like this? I know the story like wasn't even that, it was like more on the funnier side and not really that serious, but it was literally like something I was looking at and I was just like, oh my God, I remember that terrible time, like the worst kiss of my life. I've had probably like 3 bad kisses in my life. I know, I've been pretty fortunate, and this was like number 1, like the freaking worst, most painful, like, yeah. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any stories like this down below. I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.
Now you're dressed in black. When I left you were dressed in white. Can you feel me? Yeah.